I made the decision to let go of a ton of stale inventory this month, something I kind of do on a quarterly basis, things that have been sitting around for months, years even. The goal was just to free up some space, clear out clutter physically, mentally, just inject some life back into the reselling business. But as the month wrapped up, one thing was clear. This wasn't the win that I was expecting at all for April. It continues to trend downward. Average profits were super low, the lowest they've been in a very long time. And even though the shelves are lighter, I can't help but wonder, was it worth it? In today's recap, I'm breaking down the numbers, the real impact of the sale that this month had, and what I'm learning as the market shifts as a reseller. If you are a fellow reseller navigating this very strange and unusual season, this one's for you. Hi everybody, my name's Catherine. I'm a beauty and reselling enthusiast, and those are the things that I absolutely love to talk about on this channel. And if that is something that you like to watch, consider subscribing before you go. Life has been lifing as of recently, so pardon moi if I stumble over my words and everything. I'm just trying to survive here. And April was no different. In the reselling world, we barely were surviving as a reseller. But this video is my April reseller recap. I love to talk to you about the highs and the very lows of being a reseller, and this month was really no different in basically the series for the year thus far in 2025. But I still like to be real with you. I still like to kind of come on here, tell you what it's like to be a part-time reseller in this day and age. And, you know, we chat numbers, we chat trends, we chat commisery and celebrations and all that sort of jazz. So let's get into it. Real quick, before we get into the video, I am also a beauty enthusiast, as I said, so I do like to kind of chat about my makeup. Everything that I'm wearing will be listed down below. They are affiliated, so if you choose to shop through them, thank you so much. The mixture is a combination between my monthly Shop My Stash and my Beauty Empties challenge. I've been going really hard in my Beauty Empties challenge to finish some things up, so hopefully I can be filming a new one very soon. This dress, super cute, from Old Navy. I'm trying to give it a second life because I don't know if you're like me, but I kind of sometimes I attribute meanings and experiences to clothes that I wore. And I wore this the other night to a Broadway play, and we went to dinner beforehand, and I absolutely fell on my ass in the restaurant. I was wearing these cute, like, heeled kind of cowboy boots, and that heel hit the wood and smack on my ass I went. So I'm trying to reattribute this to something better than the dress that I fell in. So let's hope that it does that. All right, now let's actually get into the numbers. I'm gonna scoot on over so I can show the numbers over here for you. So obviously we are recapping the month of April. Typically I like to do this in the middle of the following month, but you know, like I said earlier, life has just not been on my side lately. So we're getting it to a little bit later, but that's okay. So my total sales for this month was $821.54. My total cost of goods, so everything that I paid for, was $502.38. And my total profit, I believe, is the lowest it's been this year at $330.26. Why it was so low is I alluded to that I was doing a liquidation sale, so the things that I were selling was at a very, very, very low cost to people. So it's going to drive your profits down considerably. So that's why this one was so low. But my average cost of goods was $6.70, which tracks. That's usually my average cost of goods. My average listing price was $13.67. And then my average profit per item was $4.40. Again, probably another all-time low. All those numbers do make sense for the liquidation sale. Again, my prices were very, very low, and I was just letting things go for, you know, me barely making any profit off of anything because I wanted to clear some space out for some new items. So my total days to sell an item was 132 days. I sold 74 items, and here are the numbers on each platform. eBay was 0, which is kind of surprising. I usually have a few sales on eBay each month, so this was really kind of surprising that I didn't have any. Depop, I had 4 sales. Curtsy, I had 0. Mercari, I had 2 sales. Vinted, which is a new platform that I'm using, which I will link my latest reseller recap, kind of talking to you more about my thoughts on Vinted. I had 0 sales on Vinted, and then the rest of the sales were on Poshmark, which makes sense because that's where I did my sale, and that ended up being 68 items. So the sale that I was running was actually kind of a variation of a sale that I've done before. Let me scoot back over. And what it was is that every item that was currently listed for $99 and below, that now made it $10. That item was $10 when you bundled with another item, and that anything that was priced $100 and above was now $30 when you bundled it. So you could have the lowest bundle price of $20 and then upward. I always like to do my sales that include bundles because I feel like that's the best way to get the most. Sorry, a bird just distracted me out the window. That is the way that I can get the most inventory out. And so I try to price them very handsomely, if you will, very enticingly to get them moved out of the door. But with, $10 sales and with my average cost of goods being $6.70, you're barely making any profit. So it was not a profitable month, but we did clear out 74 items. So I was very happy about that. Now let's get into the highest and lowest sales. I will say this was a very bundle focused month, which was as anticipated. That's what I wanted it to be. But I did have some individual items that we're going to talk about, and we won't talk too many about the bundles because I had way too many bundles to report on. So again, I'll keep it as usual as my 5 lowest single profiting items, my 5 highest single profiting items, and then my highest and lowest profiting bundles. So let's get into it. So here's where I come on as a small little bubblehead, and we're going to start reviewing the lowest profiting items. And I do not include items that are my personal items that I sell. For those items, I particularly just do a 0 out. So say for instance, it sold for $10 on Poshmark, then minus $2.95 for shipping, that would be $7.05. So I just kind of mark the item as I paid $7.05 for it. So it just zeroes out. So it doesn't make any sense for me to include those because it would be a $0 profit. So I just talk about the items that I actually bought to resell. So first comes this Sunday in Brooklyn sheer floral blouse. It sold on Poshmark. This item was actually in my anti-haul video, which I can link for you. I did that, I think, at the beginning of the year, where I talked about items that I have relisted multiple times and just have not sold. And so these items I have separated and have put in separate tubs, and my goal was to go do buy sell trade stores with them and just to liquidate that inventory. They are still listed on the platforms because you never know, they may sell. And so this one did sell. My cost of goods for this one was $4.12. I sold it for $10 as a single item. My profit was $2.93. It did sell within 363 days of the 5th plus time relisting. I kind of have like a color coding system in my my Excel sheet, which you could probably see on the thumbnail. And when it's grayed out, that means I've listed it at least 5+ times. There's no color after gray. So I don't know how many times I've truly relisted it, but I've just gotten to the point where I stopped relisting them and we're trying to sell them off any way possible. I did receive an offer from the buyer on this, so it is gone. It is out of my systems. It's good to go. The next item was this pair of Aloe Yoga Chevron Capri in Black Cherry. I do think just like Capri workout pants just don't do well in general, and I'm like just finally coming around to that they don't work for me. So I probably will stop picking them up. But Aloe, the brand got me. This like little bitty here got me. So
whatever. They're gone now. They sold on Poshmark. My cost of goods was $7.05. They sold for $15, which 15 tends to be a very popular number you'll see on these sales. My profit was $4.95. They did sell within 2 days, listing with for the third time relisting it. So I relisted it the third time, and then they sold within 2 days. So that's pretty good. And I did receive a counter offer from a buyer. So I'm assuming I sent out an offer, and then they counter offered something, and I accepted it because I was in the mood to accept offers. Then the next item is this Athleta Marlowe Romper in Blue Star. On Poshmark, my cost of goods was $5.47. It sold for $15. My profit was $6.53. It did sell within 40 days of the first time listing it, and I, again, received another counter offer from the buyer. Sorry, I'm not showing labels. I know I said that I would last time and I forgot. But this one a little bit difficult to read. But here you can kind of see how I do my listings as well. So I have the title. I kind of just redo the title. I give a general description of what the item is. I say the size, if there's a style number I like to put on there, the condition, and then what it retails for. So then the next item, we actually go off Poshmark onto Mercari. Excuse me. Nope, that's not in order. We're still on Poshmark. Here we go. Still on Poshmark. So this is the J. Crew Classic Full Coverage Bikini Bottom in Iris. I purchased it for $4. It sold for $15. So my profit was $8. It did take 279 days of the first time listing it, and I did receive an offer from the buyer. I do notice that when I do run these like really big whole closet sales, is that like sales kind of attract more sales. So even if the idea was a bundle sale, I still think like it triggers something in the algorithm that kind of brings more attention to your closet, and then people will start kind of looking at individual items as well. At least that's what I think. I don't know if that's actually true, but that's how it works out in my head. All right, now we're actually going to Mercari, and this is a cloth and stone white short sleeve button up top. I purchased it for $4.38, and say it with me, it sold for $15. So I profited $8.40. It did sell within the first time listing it within 70 days, and I did receive an offer from the buyer. I think this particular item, actually, I had listed it one day and then got a very, very low offer on eBay. Like, I want to say maybe like $10 or something, and I didn't want to, because I had just listed it, so I didn't want to take $10. So, waiting, I don't know, 69 more days to get $5 more. I don't know if it was worth it, but here we are. All right, so those are my lowest profiting single items. Now let's go into my highest profiting single items in ascending order. So this is our first sale on Depop. This is a pair of helmet laying black stretch legging jeans. I actually received these in a thread up rescue box, which I can link in my playlist for you if you're curious to see some of the other items that I've received in those boxes. It's kind of always a fun little mystery to unbox together. So with it being a thread up item in those rescue boxes, my cost of goods is quite low, so it's $1.39. They sold for $19.80. My profit was $15.27, and they did sell within 3 days of the second time listing it, and I did receive a counter offer from the buyer, and it was a boosted listing on Depop. So on Depop and eBay, I do their boosted and promoted listings, however they term it. And so I always like to see if things are promoted or boosted, because that is an extra percentage that I have to pay. These were very, very kind of like Y2K-ish, grungy, as you can see some of the style tags I put in there. Trying to get a picture of there you go, helmet laying pants. What I do like about Depop is they have your boosting stats, so when you do boost an item, you'll see some of the stats. So this was a pretty popular item. I mean, 843 views and 30 clicks. Does it say? No, I thought it would tell me how many likes and stuff like that. So that's another reason why I like to boost them, because I like to be able to see those stats. And then we are sticking with Depop for our next sale. This is a pair of Columbia Newton Ridge Newton Ridge Plus waterproof hiking boot. I did originally purchase these for myself, thinking I was going to use them, and they were a little bit too tight for me, so I ended up reselling them. I paid $6.44 for them. They sold for $27.60. So I profited $17.13, and they did sell within the first time listing them within 25 days. So that's a pretty good little turnaround right there. I didn't send an offer to the buyer, and again, they did sell on a boosted listing. And again, look at these stats: over 100, goodness, over 1,000 views, 11 clicks. So these were relatively popular. I don't know if like Columbia is trending. These are the keywords I use: sportswear, utility, gorpcore. So I don't know if these are trending or whatnot, but they sold relatively quickly, so I'm happy for that. Then we pop back over into Poshmark, and I sold a pair of Picolinos embroidered burgundy boots. I picked these up for $5. They sold for $28, so my profit was $17.40. They did sell within the first time listing within 27 days, which is excellent, and I did receive an offer from the buyer. There's really pretty, just like embroidered, almost Western type of booties. That is what the Picolinos brand looks like. I believe Picolinos can be sold at Anthropologie, potentially like Sundance and other places like that. But I just listed them under Picolinos. So going back to Depop, we sold another pair of shoes. This is the Everlane The Day Ballet Flat and Toasted Almond. My cost of goods was $10.26. They sold for $51.20, so I profited $38.41, and they did sell within 26 days of the first time listing it. And again, look at these stats. Very, very, very impressive. 11,500 views, 442 clicks. So something about these was very popular. Again, here's some of the style tags I used: preppy, minimalist, retro, all that sort of stuff. I always like to put the style number in there if you can find it, because sometimes people search by style numbers. I know when I'm looking up an item, like I search by a style number, whatever. Like there should be a little number in there, but here's what the Everlane like stamped tag looks like. There's a better picture of it. And here's kind of how I do my shoes, my shoe pictures. I will start with kind of like at an angle, then above, so you can see what the above view, some of the tags on each side, the backs of them, make sure there's no heel scuffs or anything, and then the bottom, and then the size. So here you can see this is where the style is. So if I had no idea what these names were. The name of this was, the Everyday Ballet or the Day Ballet Flat. So I looked it up through the style number, and it popped right up for me. And then I believe this is the highest profiting single item sale for April. This was a brand called Forte Forte. This is the lilac satin slip dress. I would say this is a Bolo brand. I had actually found this at Buffalo Exchange. I believe it was hauled in my anti-haul update. So not only did I do my anti-haul of saying, hey, these items don't work for me and these are the items that I'm getting rid of, but then I did a follow-up video where I kind of talk about the process of selling these items at a buy-sell trade stores like Buffalo Exchange, Plato's, things like that. And then some of the items that I was taking in from the credit I was getting. So I believe this was from one of the credits. But this is... trying to see what the brand tag Yeah, brand tag looks like. So Forte Forte, anything that is from Italy, anything that has a brand tag that kind of looks like this, just a little bit different, something I've never heard of before, I'm always going to look it up. And it does have a very high retail value of $510. And when I did the checking comps of it, so the comparable solds to this had some really good retail or resale value because I did pay up for this. So let's get to that. My cost of goods was $25, so that is pretty expensive for me to pay up for. But it did sell for $85, so I profited $43. It did sell within 68 days of the first time listing it, and I did receive a counter offer from the buyer. So what I'm guessing, and if I'm thinking correctly, I do use a extension called Posher VA. So what it does is it's a really great automated system that shares your closet. It kind of keeps you active throughout the day without you actually having to do it. And then it also sends out automatic offers to people. So I believe when I had this listed for whatever it was, I offered 20% off because that's typically what I do. And then somebody counter offered that at 85. I was very happy to see that go, seeing as this was my highest profit. So excited about that. But now let's go into some highs and low bundles. So again, I sold a lot of bundles this month. And as much as I'd love to go into every single one, we would be here for a while. We'd be here for a while. So let's go to the lowest one, starting with these Banana Republic Black Via platform pumps. Now, I had originally picked these up for myself, thinking that I could fit into them, but they were an 8.5, and I'm a true 9.5, so these were really not comfortable. But super pretty. I loved the style of them. I loved kind of that ankle strap patent black leather style. So we can see the Banana Republic, the Hello Soulmate collection, all that sort of stuff. And then the second item that sold in this bundle was this very sheer kind of like bomber jacket. The brand is called Carmen, and sheer white floral bomber jacket. And I had picked this up, gosh, so many years ago in a boutique purchase. That's when boutique items were like really popping off on Poshmark, and I wanted to be a part of the cool crowd. So I was like, I'm gonna buy some things wholesale and see how it does. Well, we can see how it does. I still have it 8 years later, 9 years later. Like, it's time to move it. So this cost of goods was a little bit higher just because it was a boutique item. I think the cost of goods was around the $12 mark. So the cost of goods for both items together was $18.99. And I sold it for $20. So if we're doing mathing in our head, that actually means that I lost $2.99 on selling these two items. And again, not my finest moment, but sometimes we have to just lose money to just get rid of stuff. Like, I'd rather lose $3 than the $12 of getting rid of this because nobody's buying it and having to donate it. So sometimes that's just how it goes. But now let's go to the highest profiting item, or bundle, I should say, and it actually was a 6 item bundle. Love big bundles. So this was this was a Free People denim knit jacket, so kind of that like denim jacket vest with the contrasting almost like sweatshirt sleeve, hoodie and sleeves and stuff like that, from Free People. Then we have this Sundance thermal waffle embroidered cuff cowl neck. That is what the Sundance tag looks like. Kind of reminded me almost of Free People because of the embroidered kind of cuff. Some of those Free People thermals can do pretty well. So that's why I decided to pick it up, because I thought it was a really nice color and it kind of had some pizzazz to it. Then we had why do I keep saying a dress as a pair? We have this dress from Daily Practice, which is a brand from Anthropologie. This is the Solana ruffled tunic olive dress, and just this really cute kind of just oversized dress with a little bit of a ruffle detail. Here is what the Daily Practice tag looks like. It was a petite size, but the dress itself didn't scream petite to me. I think you still could have worn it even if you weren't considered a petite size. And then this was a very heavy like Anthropologie haul. Then these Pilcro by Anthropologie, the slim boyfriend white jeans. This is what it looked like, kind of a little bit of distressing. They looked like skinny jeans to me, but according to Pilcro, they were the slim boyfriend jean. There you go. And two more items. This one was from Armani Collezioni, metallic silver silky knit blouse. Kind of this really fun blouse with almost this like kind of wing ruched like detail. It was kind of pretty. Reminded me a lot of St. John, kind of that silky knit if you're familiar, kind of that texture to it. And then the last item in that bundle was Soft Surroundings Presto hoodie. So another soft surrounding item. Really cute. I liked kind of this like beachy vibes that this person got. Very fun stuff. So my cost of goods for everything in that bundle was $26.63, and with the sale it sold for $60, and so my profit was $21.37. So there were some other bundles that I think there was one other bundle that I lost like 99 cents on, and then the rest I did make money, but it was very low money. And I mean, you can see that my highest profit was $21.37. So if you can think about anywhere between negative $3 to almost $22, that's where I was ranging. But now let's kind of go back and talk more general numbers, and then we'll kind of wrap it up with my final thoughts.
So this part of the video, I do like to kind of come in and talk about some just general numbers, some trends and stuff like that I noticed. So I always like to account for how many like returns or cases that have been opened, and luckily nothing official was opened, but there was one person who bought many items from my closet this April, like multiple 3, 4, 5, 6 bundled items, which to me, that makes me happy. I'm getting, you know, hopefully somebody thought that they're like, oh, this is a great deal, I want to capitalize on it, all that kind of stuff. So I noticed that all of the bundles get to this person, and it's like day 2 after they are delivered. And you know, with Poshmark, you have 3 days to inspect the items, and if there's anything wrong with it, then you open up a case before 3 days. If you don't, it automatically accepts for you. So this person reached out to me, and I mean, I guess I'm glad that they did it in a private way, instead of like doing it publicly, I guess. I don't know. They like messaged to me in one of the conversations that you can do privately. Anyways, they said, quote, not happy with them. They said that one of the items that they received had a tear in it, which in all honesty, I could have missed that flaw. I am human. I miss flaws. You know, I try to do my best to inspect things. Sometimes I miss it. So, you know, she said that one of the items had a tear. And then the other items were just, they didn't look as nice as their pictures. And I want to quote, I typed this out verbatim. I mean, I understand that you shop Goodwill and Salvation Army, but some stuff looks like garage sale items. Well, they are. Some of them were garage sale items. But that doesn't mean that they're bad. They're just secondhand. They're not brand new items. So, you know, that's where I go and I list the conditions, you know, and I've gotten actually much better about listing the conditions of like almost under listing them. So if it's something that I think is in excellent condition, but it might have like one loose thread or something like that, I'll actually mark it as in good condition instead of excellent, and just say, hey, there's this one loose thread. This is what's making it good instead of excellent. So I'm kind of like under promoting some of these items, because I'd rather, you know, somebody get the expectation that it's like, oh, this is actually in really excellent condition compared to just good because of one maybe teeny tiny flaw. So you know, I try to accurately describe my items, and yes, they are from Goodwill. I don't really shop Salvation Army, but they are from Goodwill. They're from all sorts of places. So how I responded with this, like, of course I was very sad because I'm afraid that she's going to return all of her items that she sold. And I'm like, oh, okay, then this liquidation sale was just a moot point because she purchased half the items, to be honest. So what I did is I said, I apologize if I overlooked a flaw. You are more than welcome to open up a case and I will accept the return. Crickets. She didn't respond to anything, and then all of her items just got automatically accepted because they all arrived at the same time. And so this was day 2 of day 3. So I responded to her comment very quickly because I would hate for that to happen. Some life happens. Sometimes we can't inspect things within the 3 days, but she reached out. I immediately reached back out and said, hey, I'll be happy to accept the return, because most likely I'd get those items back and hopefully sell them at a bigger profit. That's kind of what I was thinking. But she didn't respond. So all of them got auto accepted, and I hope that maybe in the future she will realize that, she's buying secondhand items. They're not going to be in new condition. Anyways, so luckily no cases were actually opened, but there was a potential of one right there. No same day sales, which is always sad. I love a good same day sale, but we did have a few items that sold within the same week, and I actually believe both of them were relisted. I think it was the helmet laying jeans and the aloe capri pants. Those were both the ones that sold within the same week. No full price sales either. This was very much a low profiting month, so there were no full price sales. I didn't get any Posher VA extension sales. I always kind of like to track because I automatically send out 20% offers, so I like to track to see how many offers I'm getting from that particular offer. And none. I did get some counter offers, so I guess it's doing its job. It's sending out attractive offers or semi-attractive offers, and people are counter offering, so it is doing its sale. And then my normal everyday sale that I run is a 2 for $36 sale. Because I was running my liquidation sale, I did not do the 2 for $36, so I didn't account for that. And then I like to break down how many offers I received versus how many offers I'm sending out. I don't know why I track this. Maybe it's just to see if if people are actually more enticed by the items compared to the offers. I don't know. I don't really know, but I still track it. So I sent out 17 offers, but that included many bundles. So that's not individual sales. That's just, that includes bundle sales too. So 17 offers total, bundles ranging from 2 to 7 items. And then I received 6 offers from people. So those people are coming directly to me, sending me an offer. And then I received 5 counter offers. So that's where I sent out an offer to them and then they countered back with something else. So I always say with any sort of offers that you're sending, and even counter offers, make sure you're pricing your items to account for that. I haven't quite found the sweetest spot for things, but if I have, if I pay $5 for an item, I have to account what is the lowest I'm willing to go, and kind of count that into how I'm pricing things, because I'm always going to send offers. I'm always at least going to send 20%, and sometimes I send up to 60% in doing my waterfall sales. So I have to account for that, so I'm still making money. And then lastly, before we kind of get into just some general notes for myself, I like to track the promoted versus the boosted. I didn't sell anything on eBay, so there was no promoted sales. On Depop, I did sell, out of the 4 items that I sold, 3 of them were boosted and 1 of them was not boosted. And when you do a promoted and boosted sale, the way that I like to do it, because there are some other platforms like Vinted and Poshmark that they do their kind of boosting a little bit differently, where you have to pay ahead of time to boost it. I like how eBay and Depop does it. They only charge you if the item sells with it being boosted or promoted. So that's what I like to do, and it's usually a percentage of the sale. All right, so just some final thoughts, notes to myself that I kind of think throughout the month is that I am always trying to come up with new ideas to just sell items. Like what's a new way that I can do it? What's a new promotion that I can do? What's working? What's not working? Like constantly trying to analyze it. So like I said, this sale was kind of a variation of sales I've done before, and kind of brings me into my next point. Is sales that I've done before is that I will actually go into each listing itself and change the title into the price that I'm willing to bundle it for. So let's say that I bought the item for $1. I'd be willing to sell it for $5 because I'm not losing money, you know. Even if it were to sell individually, I wouldn't be losing money, but definitely if I was sold in a bundle, I definitely wouldn't be losing money. So that way that I used to do it was super, super time consuming. I have anywhere from 400 to 500 active listings. So to go through each listing, change the title, like to see how much I actually paid for the item, change the title, going through all of that, and then having to change it all back afterwards takes a lot of time. So this month I decided to just kind of do like a bulk pricing thing. So, you know, I just said, okay, I analyzed my numbers. Most of the items that I have listed for under $99, my cost of goods on it was, we'll say $5, right? So, but that's an average cost of goods. So there are going to be some items that are just $1 that I paid for, but there's going to be some items that I paid like $12 for, because they don't even retail for $100, so I can't resell it for over $100 if it's, you know, the market isn't there. So I had to make the decision: am I going to do bulk pricing like I did, or do I do individual pricing like I did before? So the individual pricing, yes, I didn't lose any money from it, but it did take a lot of time. The bulk pricing, all I had to do was like, okay, check my numbers. This is kind of where the cutoff is, and we're going to do it there. But I did lose $4 on it. Is the $4 worth my time? You kind of have to decide for yourself. But that's how I did it this liquidation sale. I'm probably gonna have another liquidation sale sometime this year, because constantly including new items and things, and just wanting this to rotate through and just like keep it moving. I was happy to see some items sell from my anti-haul. I think I had 3 items. 2 of them were dresses, and then one of them was that Sunday Brooklyn top. So glad to see them go. They definitely did not sell for what their cost of goods were. I think when I did the math, I made $4.40 profit from all 3 items. So definitely lost some money on them, but again, I'm glad to see them go. I don't have to worry about selling them elsewhere at another buy sell trade store or anything like that. And plus they've been with me forever, so they're kind of out of style anyways. And just, you know, the market isn't there. So glad to see them go. I did kind of want to know like what my top categories were. So when I analyzed everything, I sold the most amount of tops, and then the next category that I sold the most of was shoes. But shoes I actually made the most profit on, because if you recall, I sold like 3 different pairs of shoes on Depop that were in my highest profiting items. So shoes was definitely my highest category, and like that tracks. I feel like I sell a lot of shoes, and they're usually for the higher price. So that made sense. Let's see, 22 items sold that were listed more than twice. So out of 74, 22 of them had been relisted multiple times. Again, that's great. I want to move inventory. That's kind of great on both fronts. I want to move stale inventory at really nice reduced prices, and I also want to not have to relist items. I want them to sell for the first time. And then how I did this sale, I always kind of go back and forth of how I want to do future sales. And I think what I'm going to do is, because this sale and in the past, I have made them a month long, like all month long, all April long, you got to do the liquidation sale. But I'm thinking, because when I get the most sales, it's usually right at the start of the sale when I notify people through my shoppers, the feature. And it's usually right at the end of the sale when I notify people through my shoppers saying my sale's ending. So that's usually when I get like the spiked times of sales. So I'm thinking next time I do a liquidation sale, I'm going to make it more time sensitive. I'm going to maybe make it 48-hour sale. Like this day, this time, you know, you make the bundle or you don't make the bundle. And after that, we're done. And I just wonder if that will kind of entice people more compared to, you know, I send something and then they're like, oh, well, I have all April to decide if I want to do that. And then usually, I mean, if they're like me, they forget about the sale. I do that all the time with like, I'll get promotional emails from Sephora or Ulta and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm going to go buy this for this percentage off. And then I forget about it. And so then I don't make the sale. So I'm thinking that's how other shoppers are, but I want to hear from you. Like, would you rather have a time sensitive sale where I tell you, hey, I'm having a liquidation sale. Everything is, we'll say $10 when you bundle something, but it's 48 hours only. Or would you rather have the month long availability? Trying to market research here. So let me know how your shopping preferences are when it comes to that. Do you like time-based sales or do you like sales that last for a really long time? Even the potential of forgetting about it. So let me know down in the comments. And then just lastly, is reselling just declining? Like, is it just declining overall? As you can see, 2025, like really, really, really deep decline from previous reselling years, like really deep decline. And so it's like, am I doing something differently? Am I not keeping up with the reselling, popular things? You know, I don't do live sales. I just don't that's not my personality. I fatigue very easily. And with YouTube videos, I can like pause and edit out my size and stuff like that. With live selling, I can't do that. I don't have the personality for it. So I don't do that. I'm not going to torture myself to, you know, do live selling and potentially make the same amount of profit. But I just have noticed that things are declining. You know, thoughts are people just being more careful with their money. You know, they don't really know what is going on economically, politically in the world. You know, and that tracks for me too. You know, I've definitely been a little bit more careful with how I'm spending my money, where I'm spending my money, stuff like that. So, you know, I can see that for my own shopping habits. I'm also thinking too, is there a higher saturation of resellers in the market to kind of help make ends meet? You know, people are like wanting to minimalize their life. And so instead of donating things, they're wanting to resell things because to make some money back to, like I said, make ends meet. I don't know. I'm constantly trying to figure things out, and I'm a one-woman show doing this. So sometimes it just analysis paralysis of everything, and then because it becomes too much, I just kind of continue to do the same thing over and over, even if it might not be the best for me, because that's what I know what to do, and it's worked part of the time. And so if you have any advice, if you are a reseller as well and your sales are killing it, let me know down below. What are you doing to make great sales? If you're in the same boat as me, hopefully you don't feel alone. Things have been absolutely garbage fires for me, so you are definitely not alone, and we're trying to make it through together. That's why I like to make these videos, because a lot of times people glorify what they're doing in reselling, and sometimes that's all we see is like the highlights of everything. And not saying that I definitely want to highlight my failures, but I just want to come on here and be realistic to you. You know, I made $330 in April, when in past Aprils, let's take a look. I have my spreadsheet in front of me. Let's take a look. Yeah, okay. The previous April, so April 2024, I also did a liquidation sale, so it's a little bit more comparable. My profit was just under $1,300. last April. So $1,000 difference of profit between 2024 and 2025. That's a lot. That's a mortgage payment. That's utility bills. That's grocery bills, all that sort of stuff. Luckily, I don't rely too heavily on my reselling money. It is kind of helpful for just like that extra little bills that come up, maybe something fun in the beauty realm. I can buy myself something makeup or skincare wise or something like that. So I don't count on it, but it is still disheartening to see that that's like $1,000 difference. That's crazy. So that's what I'm telling you. Things are tracking really, really downhill compared to years. So anywho, now I'm just rambling. Thank you so much for watching. I truly appreciate it. Let me know down below. Have you been achieving your goals? Do we need to commiserate together? Do we need to lift each other up? Tell me what you need in the comments, and hopefully I can provide that for you. And I do appreciate you taking the time to watch this. It really does mean a lot to me. And with that, I'll see you in my next one.